Hi guys, my name's Alana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, That Grunge Girl. If you're new here, I post mental health videos and vlogs every week, so if you'd like to subscribe, that would help me out and you can stay notified on any new content and videos that I will be uploading. If you want to follow my social media accounts, I have them all linked down below in my link tree, or I will put my main Instagram here on the screen, as well as my mental health Instagram. So for this week's video, it is a requested video and somebody requested me to make a video on signs of mania in bipolar disorder. So for this, I'm going to be using the word mania and hypermania interchangeably just because the symptoms of hypermania are also very obviously similar to mania. It's just that mania has a few extra things. So yeah, as someone who lives with bipolar disorder, I've definitely had a lot of experiences with this, and over time my symptoms have changed and kind of unfortunately kind of gotten worse, but I have had experiences with different situations and I thought I would make this video for this person. So with bipolar mania, it can be triggered by a lot of things. It can be triggered by starting antidepressants. You may be undiagnosed and start antidepressants, and that can trigger your mania if you already have bipolar disorder but you weren't aware. For me, I started antidepressants and I thought that I was fixed. I was like, oh my gosh, because I was depressed a lot. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like fixed. I'm like, these antidepressants are working amazingly. I wasn't even on a high dose, but I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. Like I'm feeling amazing. And then I was basically going into like full on hypomania. And that's why I was feeling so good. And, the antidepressants actually didn't even have really enough, it wasn't even that long for it to properly work either. But it really triggered hypomania. And I went back to my doctor and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, these are working so good, blah, blah, blah. And then after like a few weeks or whatever it was, I went into this major crash and I was so depressed. I was like suicidal. It was just like so bad and I was really unwell. And I went back again and then, long story short, I have whole videos on how I was diagnosed and stuff. It's a very complicated, long journey. But if you want to know about that, I have videos all about that. But I have a playlist called Bipolar Disorder. So if you want to check that out, that has all of my bipolar videos on it. But anyway, basically what happened was the antidepressants had triggered the hypomania. With people who have bipolar, if you get given antidepressants, it can trigger mania and hypomania. And unlike people who don't have bipolar, what happens is you go into that mania, hypomania, but then you're going to crash eventually and you're going to become really depressed or whatever, and everything's going to go really bad again. And then you're left wondering what in the world is going on. Whereas somebody who doesn't have bipolar disorder, will go on antidepressants and they'll either work or they won't work. So they'll either work and the person will long term have very consistent results, or they'll go on them and it just doesn't really do anything. So that is a distinguishing factor too when it comes to figuring out like when people have bipolar. But so other things that can trigger hypomania and mania are lack of sleep. Lack of sleep is a massive one. So not having a regular sleep cycle, disturbance of sleep, not getting enough sleep, not going to bed till really late or whatever, that can cause big time. It can cause mania, hypomania. Being really stressed. So stress and life changes. So big life changes, whether you maybe having a baby, getting married, starting a new job, maybe you had to move house, just things like that, whatever. Life changes, anything where it's change in routine, because when it comes to bipolar, managing mania specifically, and depression, but it's really all about having a very like, set out routine and following it when it comes to your sleep, your eating, your exercising and all of that, because your brain and your body is very susceptible to the changes when it comes to your circadian rhythms and all of that. So when you go into therapy for management of bipolar, these are all things that they're going to talk about. So moving on, so there's some things that can trigger mania and hypomania. So other things that I'm going to talk about in this video is, so what is mania and hypomania? So mania can present as a lot of symptoms. You don't have to have all of them, but these are the symptoms that often will come with it. I'm just going to list a bunch. I'm not looking at notes because obviously I live with this, so I know. But so I'm going to start off with really, so if someone is having very heightened like irritability, so just really intense like agitation or irritability, this can come out as like not being able to sit still, and it can look like from the outside it can often look like somebody is actually on drugs, to be honest. So it can look like somebody is maybe high or on something, because people can't sit still. Maybe you can't keep eye contact because your thoughts are racing so much. From the outside, I mean, people may think that there's something a bit up with you. You know, bouncing your knee, not being able to sit still, kind of looking almost like symptoms of anxiety, but very heightened. You know, not being able to stay in your seat even. I know of me, when I'm very manic, I can't even really stay in my seat. I'm constantly just moving around, and like normally when I sit down, I'm just sitting like this. This is how I normally will sit if I'm in a appointment. If I'm manic, I'm literally doing this, like sitting on my chair, like doing this, moving my legs, like looking around the room. I'm not looking at the person. I can't use real eye contact, that type of thing. And irritability and anger also can come with it. So being really angry or starting fights, being very like aggressive can also be another thing that some people may experience. The other thing that can come with the irritability is what most people kind of think of when they don't know much about bipolar and they think of it, is having very like hyperactive mood. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're super happy. This is a very big misconception. Oftentimes, 9 out of 10 when I'm experiencing mania, at least for me, I do not feel it's not like you feel extremely happy. It's more like this just rush of adrenaline. So think about if you've just won like a competition, or you've just had the most amazing thing happen in your life, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I am like over the moon. I'm like ready to party. Yes, like I'm so excited, like really pumped. Like I've just ran a race and I got all this adrenaline pumping through me. I'm amazing, you know, this is such good, my life is absolutely amazing, like there's nothing wrong, oh my gosh, like I can just do everything. That is how it can feel. So it's not necessarily like happiness, it's more like a sense of physical, like just like adrenaline, and just like really like motivated and like super like yeah, I need to go get this and this done, you know. And that ties into the other point, which is that, you know, people will can start heaps of projects but never finish any of them. So for me, like my room is so clean normally. I have to have it clean. I hate clutter. I hate mess. It stresses me out. But when I'm manic, my room will be a bomb. And this has been a symptom for me since I was actually very young, even as a like teenager. My room will be always clean, but then when I was manic and hypomanic, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know I had bipolar, but my room would suddenly just become like this bomb had gone off, and like there'd be stuff everywhere, and I would move my entire room around at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I would do this as a teenager. I would clean everything, just like frantically cleaning, pull literally everything out of my room, like my entire wardrobe, my clothes, everything's just piled on the floor. It looks like a mess to everyone else. And I, you know, stay up doing art till like 3 in the morning, and I just pump out artworks and just, but I don't know, like work on my assignment. Then I'll be over here doing art. Then I'll be like, oh wait, I'm going to clean this thing out. And then I pull everything out, and it's just very chaotic and like a lot of things going on. People may like start projects, like they might think, oh my gosh, I want to start a veggie garden. Like, I don't know, I'm just using a random example here. For me, last time I was manic, I came up with this amazing idea, but for once in my life, it actually was a good idea. And now I'm not manic right now, but I'm like, that was a great idea and I've used it, and I'm actually starting a business from that idea that I got when I was manic. So it can have its positives, not always negative. But the downside to this is that people can spend large amounts of money and just start like a bunch of projects. And the problem is that like that you think that you're being productive, but you're actually not, because you're just starting one project and then you leave it. And then you may start washing up your dishes and then you leave it and then you forget about it, because then you're like, oh, I got this other idea I need to go do. Because, you're doing that all the time, and this can go on for like weeks. You're not really getting anything done. So you may not be, often when you have mania and stuff, you're so caught up in your feelings and your frantic, chaotic thoughts and your mind. And I mean, throw in hallucinations and all that, and I'm going to go into that soon. But, you're so wrapped up in that you forget to brush your teeth. You don't brush your teeth. You forget to have a shower because you're not thinking about that. You forget to eat. You don't sleep because you're like, oh, I'm not even tired. Like, I don't need to go to bed. I don't need sleep. So you're up till like 4 in the morning, and then you get up again at like 6, and you're like, oh, I'm fine. You're all ready to go. And normally, this is how I can tell when I'm manic versus not, is that normally if I don't get sleep, I'm exhausted. Like, I am so tired, I'm emotional, I'm like irritable. That's how most people are if they don't get a few nights sleep. They're very cranky. When it comes to mania and hypomania, people will often get more and more elated. So it's like the less sleep you get, the more energized you get, the more hyperactive, the more, chaotic, and the more the mania ramps up. So the less sleep you get, it actually fuels it even more, which is why that could be a problem. The other symptom can be racing thoughts, which is what I was kind of describing. It's where your thoughts are just like bouncing around. For me, it's almost like there's just like a billion, just picture like a billion different like thoughts coming in your head, but then they're just going out, like in and out, in and out. And it's just, you can't really hold on to any thoughts. And they're really random thoughts for me. They're very weird thoughts. They're not normal thoughts. Like, they'll be like, and this is different to hallucinations, which I'm going to go into, but sometimes they'll be like, oh, the police are chasing me and I'm in my room. Like, really weird thoughts. Thoughts, and I'm doing art. Thoughts have nothing to do with that. Like, police and art, how does that have any tie-in? Like, why am I thinking about the police? I don't normally think about the police. You know what I mean? So that's just an example. But so I'll get very weird thoughts that are just not, they don't have anything to do with the activity I'm doing, my life, my circumstances, nothing. The other thing is that mania and hypomania can give people a sense of grandiosity, which means that you're very almost narcissistic. You think that you're absolutely amazing. You might even tell everyone that you're amazing and how good you are at things. You may, internally think that you're absolutely incredible and you're going to go start an art business. You may think, oh my gosh, I look amazing. Often when you're in mania or hypomania, your clothing style will change. For me, it literally changes like completely. Like, I look like a different person. My makeup is just like very like, normally I don't wear much makeup, but on my makeup will just be like full on. I mean, I love makeup and I'm pretty good at it, but it'll be like I'm gonna go out for like a fancy like event. Like, I do everything. I go full out. My my clothing style would change. I'll wear something really like I often will wear things that are just opposite to my style. Very colorful, very bright. A lot going on. I'll be real fancy, have the nice high heels. I don't even wear high heels like ever, unless it's a special occasion, but I'll wear like heels. And the other thing is that I'll become very like I want to dress very almost like provocatively. I don't know what the right word is, but I want to dress very like, look at me, my body looks amazing. And I'm telling you, this is far from the truth because I actually have an eating disorder. So normally I'm like very insecure, but when I'm manic, I think that I look incredible. And I feel really just like I'm trying to think what the word is, but I just like I'll wear things that are maybe very really tight fitting, which I never wear. Things to kind of show off my body and to almost get attention, and I want to look real like sexy and like really like dressed like that. And that is so not me, like at all. So that is what I mean. So you'll notice with all of these symptoms that I'm saying is that these symptoms are different to your normal personality. That's how you can tell that this is a disorder, because that is not your personality. You have in your general life, none of these things are what you do. It's very different, and that's not normal how you normally think for you. So when people get assessed, and when you get assessed, they look at how you behave normally and what you would normally do. Because if somebody normally dresses like that, then that's going to be just a normal thing. But if you're like me and you don't really dress like that, then suddenly you just see this person dressing the completely opposite, and they cut. Another thing is you change your physical appearance. You might cut all your hair off. Like I've done this so many times. I've cut my hair. I've gotten fringes. Every time I'm manic, I've gotten a fringe. So if you look at any of my videos where I have a fringe, most likely I had a manic episode and I thought getting a fringe was an amazing idea. Getting a fringe, I bleached my hair myself. I have a whole story on that. Wrecked my hair, like all these things. So people may just suddenly like chop up all their hair, dye it like pink, like get all these piercings, get heaps of tattoos, like just big things like that. Spend large amounts of money, which is another thing. People can get into debt. They may go gamble all their money. They may invest it into business ideas that they think is going to work. They may spend it on projects that they want to do. I spent thousands of dollars in like days when I'm manic, because impulsivity is such a big one. And you spend all this money, and I spend the money on the most stupid random things. Like literally one time I went to Target and I had just gotten paid. This is back in like 2018. I wasn't diagnosed yet. So I didn't even know what was going on. And I was saving. I had all this money saved, and I'd saved for a long time, and I just went and spent all of it. I went to Target and I literally just bought like 10 candles and a blanket. I mean, I used the blanket, it's on my bed now, but I bought really expensive candles from like Dusk and stuff, like ridiculous things. Just loaded my trolley with the most random things, like just throwing it in chaotically. Like I wasn't even needing anything. I just threw it all in. And and then later on I was like, oh no, like, and I tried to return some of the stuff, but I couldn't. So, I lost all that money. But the point is that people can get into debt. They can go buy all these cars, buy houses, like this can get very extreme. It's mania and hypomania is on a scale. So really it can be in different points of the scale. Some manic episodes may be worse than others. Some hypomania episodes might be worse than others. It really depends. Every time it's going to be different. You just don't know what you're going to get. But most of the time for most people, you have a few symptoms that are very distinguished and always happen. So for me, it's like the frantic cleaning, not sleeping at all, not being able to sit still. The other one is pressured speech. That's where your speech is really, really fast. And it's not even just like that it's fast, it's that you can't stop talking. This is something that gets me into trouble, because in social situations, especially because sometimes I go into this situation and people don't know I have bipolar, and so I'm a naturally pretty like not in a bad way, but I'm a naturally opinionated person, pretty strong-willed, pretty like I know what I think. I'll tell you in a nice way. I'm always nice about it. When I'm manic, it can be very amplified. And so, for instance, one time we were at a family get-together thing, and I don't know if my family at that point knew I had bipolar. I don't remember. I think they did. Some people did and some people didn't. I don't know. But anyway, we were at this thing, and then this topic came up that was a touchy topic that we try to avoid in our family with these certain people, because we know that it will cause problems, right? So anyway, we were at my grandparents' house, and I was basically acting almost like I was drunk or high. I was just like talking so loud. I was talking so fast. I was saying all my opinions real forcefully, just like, yeah, like just coming at everyone like being real like opinionated and just couldn't stop talking, almost inappropriate comments. Like I've had a lot of situations where I'll go into to social settings and I say things that are maybe inappropriate, not really right for the social vibe that's going on, because you have no filter. The filter is completely gone. And normally in my head, I think things, but I'm like, okay, it's probably not appropriate to say that, even when I want to. And I don't say it. I have restraint. But when I'm manic, it goes, and I have no filter, and things just come out of my mouth. I don't even know what I'm saying. And it can get me into trouble because my mom, that time when we had the family get together, had to be like, she had to kind of say, oh, okay, yep, and pull me aside and be like, hey, calm down. Because she knew I was manic. But if people don't know that's what you have, or if you're not even diagnosed, it can get you into trouble because you can say stuff like, people can become very aggressive. You can end up in police custody because you did something, or you started a fight and you got into an legal problem. And this is what I'm saying. This can be, in a lot of situations. The other way it affected me was in my work. Suddenly I would turn up, and I was very quiet at work. I was working on my own as well. And then I'd suddenly just turned up one day when I was manic, and I was like racing around, cleaning up the store, like doing everything. I was so loud. I was like really chirpy with customers, and I was just like laughing. That's not really how I normally am, unless I know you well. If I know you well, then I will be. I'm not extroverted, but when I'm manic, it's like, oh, I'm ready to go party. Which is another thing that people can often use illegal substances for multiple reasons. Might just be impulsive, maybe they want to have fun, go party. For me, when I get manic, I have like this really intense urge to go and party. And what I mean is like I want to go like to a nightclub. I want to go like with the loud music, the lights. I want to go like drink alcohol and like have a fun time, like meet up with people, like go hang out with guys. Like this is not me, I'm telling you. I am the most anxious. I have agoraphobia and extreme social anxiety. I hate loud music unless it's my rock music that I love listening to at home, like my own music. But normally, I would never ever in my life go into a nightclub because the whole situation would just give me a panic attack. Like thinking about it stresses me out. When I'm manic, I want to go party, man. I'm like staying up. Like I want to go driving at like 2 a.m. to get myself McDonald's. You know what I mean? I want to like cook pancakes at like 4 a.m. So things like that, just very like out of character things. Other symptoms can be really heightened sex drive, which is kind of tying into what I was saying about the clothing and wanting to go party and everything. So yeah, basically just wanting to like go out and go hook up with people or whatever, or get yourself into very bad situations with that. Another symptom can be thinking that you have magic powers, or that you can read other people's minds, or that they can read your mind. I've personally had this experience with both of them. One time I was having a hallucination that was telling me that I was a fairy. This is actually when I actually got diagnosed, because then I'm going to the hospital. I thought that I didn't think I was a fairy, but I was having a hallucination telling me that I was a fairy and then I had magic powers. And I was also having a little bit of like visual, I was also getting visual hallucinations. And this is that was the first time I'd ever had a visual hallucination. And the way I can describe it for me was that it was literally like someone had a TV playing and it was just flicking through a billion channels, and I was like seeing all this different things like visually, but it literally looked like it was like right there. And then I had that thing about the fairy, and it was kind of tying in with the visual thing. But hallucinating and having psychotic symptoms can be a part of mania. So, thinking you have magic powers, thinking you're somebody from, I don't know, like past, like back in time, somebody's dead, or thinking that you're the president, thinking that you are. I had a friend who's I think, can't remember the whole situation, but she is bipolar, and I think she might have thought that she was like Jesus or something. I can't remember the whole thing, but I remember her telling me she thought that she was like some figure, like historical figure and stuff. And she was telling people that. And then, you know, obviously she ended up in hospital because they were like, yeah, they called her family member and they were like, yeah, we need to get her to like hospital. That's so not normal. But yeah, things like that. Other things with hallucinations can be good or bad. So I've had hallucinations where it was tied in with a situation that triggered mania, where I thought people were talking about me because I was hearing hallucinations telling me that the people were talking about me, and I was convinced people were talking about me behind their back. That is a very common thing for me. When I get manic, I become very paranoid, and I think that people are talking about me behind my back and saying bad stuff about me when they're not, and I get very paranoid about people's intentions. So I think that everyone is out to get me, and I think that the police are after me. One time I had a hallucination where I heard, like, I mean, this is a whole thing. I could make a whole separate video, that I thought there was a party going on, dogs were barking, and I got my mum to come out of bed at like 12 o'clock at night. She went outside. She said there was literally nothing there, but I swear there was a party going on. I saw cars. I could hear dogs barking. I heard music. I heard people. One time I had a hallucination where I was smelling cigarette smoke, for like 2 hours, and I was telling everyone there's cigarette smoke, and no one smokes near me. Well, I don't smoke, and everyone was like, no, there is not. Like, there is not cigarette smoke. Other hallucinations I've had is where I've had different voices, so very specific, like female and male voices. Very scary, just telling me all sorts of things and telling me that if I told people, then this was going to happen, telling me to walk in front of cars, to drive my car off a bridge. Like, it's a whole thing. But yeah, so anyway, I'm not going to keep going because I could be here all day talking about that. But if you want a separate video on that, I can totally do it. So yeah, I think I covered everything. That's a lot. But like I was saying, people don't have to have all of these symptoms. It's a lot. And that's only half of bipolar. You got the whole depressive part and the in-between part. So yes, that's why I'm making these as separate videos, just because I think it's gonna be too long. And this person specifically requested this video, so I really hope this helped you. I'm really sorry if it didn't answer all of your questions. Please comment again if you have any issues, or like you want me to make another video on something. But I hope this helped you guys, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.